So you have a Godox flash transmitter, V1, AD200, something like that, and you're not sure how to connect them. You're having difficulty connecting them. Well, in this video, we're gonna go over simply how to and a few troubleshooting, including some TCM features and things like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Will Simpson here, and welcome back to the channel. It's always good to see you. Today we are going to go over how to connect your Godox transmitter to your flashes using the transmitter to transmit to multiple flashes, so on and so forth. So we're gonna keep the first part relatively short because I did an entire intensive video on how to connect this, and I'll link it in the description if you wanna go check that out. Now, before we get started, there are three things that you need to know. First thing is channel, group, and ID. Now, those are the three things you need to understand when connecting your flashes. The first one is channel. Now, this is essentially the radio frequency that the Godox system communicates through. Now, all other flashes do use channel, and so you can get it where, let's say you're at a wedding and you have two photographers, one photographer is using channel 22 and another photographer is using channel 22, you can crossfire. So there is a way to handle that, and that is with IDs. And IDs are smaller identification numbers that allow you to be on the same channel and a different ID. So photographer 1 is on channel 28 ID 3, and photographer 2 is on channel 28 ID 6. There won't be any crossfiring. And then group is essentially how you place your different flashes to fire them or not. So let's get into the transmitters and all of that and kind of work this out. So the first thing we're gonna do is get into the transmitters. So now I have both the XPro C1 and the XPro C2. We're gonna be using the XPro C2. That way you can kind of see how this one works. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it on. Now, hopefully this other camera up here works really well, and we will, so you can see everything. So the first, you'll notice that the channel 21 is up here in the top corner. Now, I don't know if you can see that. I'm not using a monitor, so it's kind of hard to see, but let's hope for the best here. So you'll notice that up here it says channel 21. Now let's go ahead and, what is this doing? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is change the channel. So you're gonna press menu, and you're gonna go to the little Wi-Fi antenna here. You're gonna press set, and this is gonna give you your channel, your ID, your scan, and your distance. Now, I generally just keep this at 100 millimeters. That way it's at the farthest distance. So here's where you find your channel. So if you click here, you'll notice that you have tons of channels that you can choose from to change it to. Now we're just gonna stick with 21 because that's where we're on. Now right here is the ID. Now there's two ways you can do this. One, you can have the ID off completely, which means you're not using an ID, and if you have it off on the other ones, you won't worry about this. But you can change it. There's 1 to 99 IDs. So 1 at the bottom and 99 at the top. Generally, I keep this off because sometimes your IDs get changed, and I'm not sure exactly how. Maybe it's the slip of the finger or working fast, you accidentally mess it up, and the IDs change, and then everything's not firing. So this is really important. If your flashes aren't firing, make sure you check your IDs on your transmitters and all of your flashes. So for this, we're just gonna leave this off. And there we go, we are all set. So now let's go back. Okay, good. Now we have the ID and the channel set on your transmitter. So then we're gonna pull up our V1. So we're gonna turn this bad boy on. Hopefully you can see it without the glare. And here's how you set your channels and IDs on this one. So we're gonna press menu. Then we're gonna scroll down to channel, and we'll notice channel 21. We can change that, but we're gonna leave it on 21. That way it works. ID is off. So if we wanted to change it to 1, 2, 3, 4, we could, but we're just gonna leave this off. Okay, good. So now this is connected to this transmitter. Now, essentially, if we press, since we're on channel 21 and in the same ID, and both of them are grouped, so if you look here, it says group A. I don't know if you can see that. Let's just see. See, it says group A there, maybe. Okay, good. If you can't, it says group A. Now, just as a quick note, the V1s are themselves naturally in group A. You are not able to change the group that the V1 is in unless the V1 is in a receiving mode. So that means that naturally this is in group A and you can never change it from group A. But when this is becoming a receiver and you're firing it from a transmitter or another flash, the receiving one can be changed groups. So I'll give you an example. For example, if I press this, it's not gonna fire it, right? It's not gonna fire the flash because this isn't in receiving mode. This is on camera mode. So I put it on the camera and it'll fire, but just using the transmitter, it's not. To put it in receiving mode so the transmitter will fire it, there's a little backwards arrow here on the right side. What you're going to do is you're going to press that right here until the screen turns orange. And you'll notice that it says RX there. Now, next to the RX, it says A. This is where your channel, your group is. So what you're gonna do is down here, you'll see group, channel. Let me show you that here. Ooh, sorry about that. Where's the glare? There we go. You see group and channel right there. That's how you switch these once it's in receiving mode. Since we are in group A, if we fire it, it should fire now. There you go. Now, if we change the group, let's say we change it to B and we try and fire it, it still fires, but that's because group B is probably on here. So on the transmitter, what we're going to do, press the little zoom, and there you go. You'll see that B is on. So let's press B and let's turn it off by clicking this little switch here. And then we're going to press mode here and turn it off. And then when we try and fire it, no fire. We turn it back on, TTL, which is auto mode. There, it's firing again. So that is how you connect your transmitter with your flash. Now, let's say you want to connect two flashes. This one is on camera, right? So we're gonna switch this out of receiving mode. So you're gonna press that backwards arrow again here. Oh, there we go, backwards arrow until we get to you'll see the little antenna thing again. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna turn on our other flash. There we go. And we're gonna do what with this one? Because it's receiving. That's right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna press that little backwards arrow until we get to the orange screen, right? And this one, being the transmitter, is going to automatically be in what group? That's right, A, because as a transmitter, it'll always be in A. But the receiver, we can always put in a different group. Now we can put it in group A, which means if we fire this one, it'll fire both at the same time. But let's say we want to control them independently. Well, let's switch this one to group B. So we're going to press the channel button here, or not channel button, group button, and it'll switch it to B, as you can see. And then on this one, what we'll do is we'll select B. Let's see if I can get this in focus. We'll select B, right? And then press mode to turn it on. So now we're in TTL. Now we're in manual and we should be able to adjust it. There we go, good. So change this to 1/16 of a power, enter. And this should switch this one to 1/16 of a power. Let's try it. Did that fire? That didn't fire. Nope, that's not firing. Why is this not firing? Let's check the ID. So menu, you know, sometimes you would think this is much easier, but this is why people get complicated, because even I know what I'm doing and it's not working. So let's turn this one off fully by pressing A mode, turn that off. Will this fire? Yep, still firing. Why is this happening? So this one shouldn't be firing. This one's receiving. What is happening? Okay, give me a minute while I figure this out. Okay, so I'm not sure why this one wasn't communicating to this one, but when I switched it, this one was communicating to this one. So now I have this as group A, this one is group B, and if I fire it, okay, now it's not working again. What in? Just shake it. I'm so confused right now, and I don't know why. Oh, there it goes. So now it's working. So there must be some kind of communication error between the two. Maybe the software needs updating. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, that is how it's supposed to be set up. If this is on the little antenna, as you see the little antenna there, oh God, there we go. Good. See the little antenna, and this one is in receiving mode and the groups are on. That's how they should work. Now, just a fun fact. If you look at this here, right, this little, where is it? This right here. You see that little flash? That flash, if there's those lines in front of it, means that this one will fire when you fire the two. But let's say you switch this, go to menu, come down to TX. You have two options here. One is without the little lights or what the lines, and one is with the little lines. If you have this set without the little lines, this one on camera or as the transmitter will not fire. If you have with the lines, it will fire. So if you notice that your transmitting flash isn't firing when you take a picture, this might be the reason. So check that out and switch that to the little lines. That is a big note there to help with the coordination of the two flashes. So the next thing is on top. Let's get out of here real quick. Let's go to this main one here. If you see this, the A on the top, right here, the A, that means that the zoom is on auto. If you press the zoom button, you can switch this to manual and then you can adjust the zoom just like that. Now this adjusts the flash beam. So it's like if it's more zoomed in, it'll kind of send the beam farther. If it's wider, it will widen. Now when it's on camera, it does this automatically. It senses what millimeter you're at and adjusts this as needed. But if you wanted to manually adjust it, you could do that there. Honestly, I always keep it as auto. So I don't know, it's just something that you should know when you have your flash. Okay, the next thing to know is on the new transmitter. Let's go ahead and turn this on. Let's go to menu and we're gonna go to the TCM feature. When you have this on, when you turn this on, this is one thing to note. So this feature here, let's see if you can see this here. There we go. Oh God, the glare is terrible. So this is off. This is a V1. This is 100, the AD100. This is the AD200, AD300, so on and so forth. This matches up to the flash that you are using. So for me, I would simply use the V1s. I really hope this is showing you. Because this is going to be pain if I go back in editing and all of this is no good. So I would select the V1. Now what happens is when I shoot in auto, right? So let's switch these to receiving real quick. Good, and we have A and we're going to B here. Then we're going to go into out of our menu, we have A and B. Let's go ahead and do TTL. Good, and A, I'm gonna do TTL. Good, and take the exposure composition, compo, whatever or not, to 0, right? Good, again, I hope you can see that. Once you have it in TTL mode, you're gonna fire your flashes, just like that. And then you're gonna push this one and press mode, so select, press mode, select this one, press mode. And this automatically changes the settings once you fired him. And remember, this is gonna be on your camera, so it's gonna be a little bit, different, but it'll keep those exact settings that it fired in TTL. Personally, I like the TCM button. It was much easier. You put it in TTL mode, you fire, you push and hold the TCM button, switches to manual with those settings that it just used to keep them. That was much easier. This is a little bit more complicated. Godox did it to remove one of the buttons, but essentially that is how you do it with the new XPro II transmitter. Okay, and the final thing that we're gonna go over is on the AD200. I had a lot of people thank me for my previous video because I showed you where the ID button is. If you can't get your AD200 Pro to fire, three things to check. First is the channel. So the channel is up here in top left. You push and hold the channel button. I'll do this. Good, you push and hold the channel button and then you can switch it to the proper channel. If you just one touch this, you can change the group and that's easy. Now for the ID button, you go to menu, you go to F7, and then this allows you to turn and change the ID. I, again, just leave it as off, but once you have that set and they're in the right group, right channel, and right ID, it should fire with either the V1 using as a transmitter or as the XPro transmitter firing as a transmitter. And yes, you can connect multiple ones. You can use your transmitter to connect up to 5 groups. You have, let's see, what do you have? You have A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, you have A, B, C, D, E. And you can put multiple flashes in each group, or you can put one flash in each group and fire them all at the same time or individually control them. You can also do, I believe, up to 5 on your V1. So go to transmitter, you have 4. So you have A, B, C, D. So using the V1 as a transmitter, you have 4 flashes plus, well, including this one, because this will always be an A. And, oh, and that reminds me, When this one is as a transmitter, I had people asking how to change it. So as a transmitter, this is always an A. So when you change your A flash, this is what you're going to be adjusting. So when you're adjusting your A right here, you're adjusting this one and any other flashes in that group. So they'll all be the same power. So sorry, I forgot to mention that before. And that pretty much covers a quick overview and kind of troubleshooting of your Godox system. This will work with your other flashes, your 600s, your 1200s, your 300s, your 100s, your all that. As far as other transmitters, I know there's the XT2 or something like that. There's other smaller transmitters. They should work essentially the same with maybe less features, but I'm not 100% sure. It's just kind of trial and error. The main things to remember are group, channel, ID. And that wraps up this video. So hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, which I'm sure you will, go ahead and comment below, and I'll see you guys next week. Also, don't forget, there's a bunch of goodies in the description for you to check out, so don't forget to look at those. And YouTube recommends you go watch this video. I personally recommend you go watch this video, and if you want to hit the subscribe button, you can click that as well.